you need to leave your mom and dad.
We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Side by Side Business Podcast. We are Larry and Sue, and we're here with episode number 41 of the podcast.
Yeah.
And today we want to reply to a comment that we received.
Yeah, we got a comment on one of our recent podcasts, and we were talking.
By the way, we love comments.
Oh, we do. Absolutely.
And even
they give us material.
Yeah. Even if you're questioning something we said, we're fine with that because it gives us the opportunity to think it through. And
it does, and it makes this a little bit more of a conversation.
Yes.
Which I like.
That's right.
So
leave us a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you agree or disagree, and be honest about it, because we like to see that. Okay, so this particular comment, we were talking about the priority in that episode. We were talking about the priority of the marriage over the business.
Right.
Because that's where we believe our priorities need to lie.
Yes. And I think we just made like a sentence, we just gave a sentence or two about that. Mm-hmm. And so because of this response, we're going to dig deeper.
And so this person picked up on that. And so now we want to expand on the topic. This person said, where I disagree is the priority given to the marriage over the business. Some entrepreneurs already have their business long before the marriage. And so I think maybe what that person was getting at was, hey, the first entity here gets priority. I mean, the business isn't really a person. And so we wanted to address that because we have made the statement many times and in many different ways. And we do stand by that we believe that if a choice comes down to helping the marriage, but hurting the business, or we can help the business, but hurt the marriage, we're going to take the one that helps the marriage every time.
Right. And so I would say we can kind of, as we go through this, we can address the point about the business coming first as far as chronologically.
Right.
But I would just say right out of hand, though, I would just reject that immediately.
Absolutely. There's nothing that is ever going to convince me that you should take anything on this earth ahead of your marriage.
Right.
The marriage is the second most important relationship in our life, the first one being with the Lord, and all other things in life have to come behind the marriage priority. And
so another way to say that exact same thing is it is the premier and preeminent earthly relationship.
You said that better than me. Thank you.
And scripture does speak to this very clearly. Mm-hmm. So this is not just our opinion.
Right.
This is not just us kind of winging this a little bit. We've thought through this a lot over the years.
Well, we've lived it.
And we've lived it. Right.
Yeah.
And so again, as we go through here, we'll talk about other relationships that come first in your life before the marriage relationship. And I'm kind of saying that with the business, it's a little bit of a relationship.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a person, but the business can and does oftentimes dominate our lives.
Right. And we're probably going to get into this. There's times where you probably are going to mutually agree to, I don't know if neglect is the right word. You're going to mutually agree to really go all in on doing stuff for the business. Yeah. And we'll get back to relational things once we're done. And you can mutually agree that.
Yeah.
And put time and effort heavy into the business. I think about when we were e-commerce sellers, and when Q4 came around.
Yes.
Every bit of our waking hours went into business activities.
Right.
And we said, I will see you after Christmas. And we saw each other, but we really didn't spend a lot of time working on our relationship until after that was over.
And so that was a seasonal thing, and it was a very limited season, and we knew when the end of that was coming, and
we mutually agreed on it.
Correct.
It was not something where you said to me, yep, I'll see you in December, I'll see you in January. It was more like we decided together, okay, we've got some, we're going to put a lot of effort into being successful this Q4, and so let's go all in on that.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so let's get into the scripture, and the primary scripture that speaks to this is Genesis 2:24 that we've talked about before on this podcast,
Yes.
but it's something we want to revisit and dig into it, thinking about it this in response to that statement that we received that we talked about earlier. So Genesis 2:24 says, "Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." So again, every time I think about this, whenever a verse starts with the word therefore, it means that you've got to go back and see the context and everything behind it. And what was behind that was God creating Adam and then creating Eve, and the fact that everything was good in creation until God declared, before Adam even recognized it, God declared it is not good for the man to be alone. And then he brought all those animals to Adam and had Adam name all of those animals. And as the animals were passing by, Adam was recognizing there's male and female of all these animals, but I'm alone. And he said he couldn't find a helper suitable for him.
Right.
And so God allowed Adam to recognize his own need. And then God fixed that by creating Eve.
Yeah, in the most beautiful way. And
Yes.
and so that verse that begins therefore is basically saying this is the top relationship in your life. When you stand at the altar and pledge that I'm going to remain married to you for the rest of my life, then you are now my number one priority as far as people go here on this planet, above everybody.
Yeah.
And we've talked about before, but even before our kids.
Yes. Yeah. I think maybe we ought to talk about that a little bit more as we go here as well, because that may be a little bit controversial. I don't know. So when we break down this verse, kind of the cute and fun way to do it is talk about leave, cleave, and weave.
Yeah.
So leave your father and mother, and then hold fast, or cleave is another word for that. I guess that's an old-fashioned word for it, cleave. But it rhymes, so it works.
It does work very well for this.
And then the two shall become one flesh. So the two become one, and so that is a weave aspect of that. All right. So the whole thing about leave your father and mother, that's how we started this off. You need to leave your mom and dad. All right. So does that mean just abandon them and you kick them to the side?
It means that you're leaving, like up until that point in your life, your primary relationship has been with your parents.
Right.
They've been the ones who have poured their lives into you. You have grown up learning to respect them, you learn to be obedient to them first so that you could learn to be obedient to God later. You learned how to honor them and how to, what valuable advice, you could get from them. And now it's time to step away from that being your primary relationship. And now your new spouse is your primary relationship.
And that is, by the way, that's because you're forming a new family.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those things. I'm sure I've mentioned it before on here, but my little pet peeve when husband and wife, whenever they're expecting their first child and somebody says, oh, they're starting a family. And I don't just correct people right at the moment.
No.
I just come back and gripe about it on my podcast later and broadcast it. But whenever you say I do, you've started a new family. Yeah. And you're a husband and wife, you're a family of two. And sometimes, many times, God blesses that family and expands it out. And then you welcome in the children into that relationship. And so again, that's why the husband and wife, you're the family at the beginning. And Lord willing, the kids grow up and they're ready to go out on their own, and then you're back down to just the two of you again. But you're still a family. You're still a family unit. And so the family got bigger. Our family has dwindled down now as 4 out of the 5 have moved out of the house.
Right. I mean, they're still part of the family, but now it's a different way.
Well,
it's a different relationship. So yeah. And we've got one child who's getting ready to get married, and that will become her new priority.
Right.
And so,
and by the way,
it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. I don't want to think about it too awful much.
Yeah.
Right at the moment. But whenever I walk her down the aisle, and whenever the pastor says, who gives this woman to be married to this man?
Mhm.
And I say, her mother and I do.
Yeah.
And then I hand her off to her soon to be husband.
Mhm.
Within minutes, her husband. Then that is symbolism
Yeah.
of her leaving her father and
Mhm.
mother
Mhm.
and starting this new family unit. And so there's just all of that wrapped in. There's so many wedding traditions that are based and rooted in scripture that people don't even know anymore and
Yeah.
don't think about. So
Mhm. Mhm. That's true. And so then the second piece of this is around cleaving. And I love the cleave, I mean, that's just tightly bound. It's,
mhm.
the picture I've talked about before is gluing, taking super glue and gluing two pieces of plywood together. Like that, it is now one piece of plywood.
Yeah.
You're never going to get two separate pieces of plywood out of that again that aren't terribly damaged. You can't separate them.
Yes.
So it's now one piece of plywood.
And by the way, those two pieces of plywood are stronger than those two individually combined.
Yeah, well, sense? Yeah, it's the strength of it is greater than the sum of the strength of them individually.
Yes. Now you said that better than
yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
so. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yes. I knew that's what you meant.
Yes.
That's why you have me.
That's right. And so those two pieces are they just give stability, they give strength, mm-hmm. they can do more, whenever they're together than either of them can do individually. Mm-hmm. And so there's that perfect analogy there of what it means to cleave, or to hold fast. And the instruction is given to the husband, mm-hmm. to hold on to his wife. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these, I can say this here briefly also, these instructions are given to the husband because he's the head of the home. It doesn't mean that the wife doesn't leave her father and mother. Right. It doesn't mean that the wife doesn't hold fast to her husband. It doesn't mean that the wife doesn't want to weave with her mm-hmm. husband. But those instructions are just given to the husband, to the man, mm-hmm. because he's the head of the house. Yeah. And it could be that sometimes the guys struggle with these things mm-hmm. a little bit more than the mm-hmm. ladies do.
Right. It comes a little more naturally to the wife. We're kind of built in to follow our husband where he's going to lead. So.
Yes. And so then the third aspect on this verse is talking about weaving. And that literally is, you just think of yourself as being one now. Mm-hmm. And, our poor kids, like one of us will walk into the room and ask a series of questions or make a series of statements to the kid. And then the other will walk in the room and go through the whole thing again.
And we did not plan it ahead of time, I promise.
Right. And it is because we are one, and we mm-hmm. do think alike, and we do, mm-hmm. The same things are on our minds. We have very distinct personalities and approaches to life and such. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are one.
Yes, we are. Yeah. And so the statement, the comment that was made about, the marriage should not take priority over the business. So let's address that just a little bit. Yeah. Although entrepreneurship, I'm sure, was very big when the scripture was being written, and there were business owners and that kind of thing. There's never a place where God says the most important thing in your life is your business, or that's, above your family or anything else. The whole idea of having a business, most of us created a business to serve us and our family or our future family well. And so that is what we want it to do. We want to keep it in its proper place. That is its proper place. Yeah. And so.
And if we look at, we looked at Genesis. If you look in the Ephesians chapter 5, matter of fact, Paul quotes Genesis chapter 2 in that passage. Mm-hmm. But in Ephesians chapter 5, we see that the marriage relationship is what God uses to represent Christ's relationship with the church. Mm-hmm. All right. And so again, I think we can just see and tie everything we've been saying into that point, is that nothing else takes priority over that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, obviously we still are to care for our parents. We got to take scripture as a whole. We don't just take one verse or two verses in this case. We want to take all of scripture and balance everything out. And we definitely see that we are to honor our parents. And some of the things you mentioned earlier, as they are older and as they need our help then with various things. And so there are times where I run down to my parents' house, or you have had to go up to your parents and such, just to help out for a short amount of time. But that doesn't mean that was a short-term priority, I guess.
Right. All of these things that we're talking about, so specifically about business, talking about taking care of parents, all those things that have the potential to become more important than the marriage. You do those things for a specified period of time by mutual agreement.
Yeah.
You never say to me, you don't matter to me tonight, so I'm going down to my parents. It's never anything like that. It's, hey, I need to go, check on my parents or do something for my parents or what have you. And we're in agreement that, you go be with them tonight. Give them your energies tonight because they need it and it's the right thing to do. And I don't mope about, woe is me, he's not with me tonight. It's more of we've made this decision and I trust that I'm still number one as far as people relationships go, and you're going to be back and we're going to still be in sync and we're still going to be that glued together plywood.
Yeah. That's right. I like that. So, so I think this is a pretty good place to wrap up here. Again, we love getting comments, and to the person, if you're listening to this one who made that comment and you want to expand further, we can keep this conversation going a little bit. This gave us the opportunity to expand here on camera and being recorded and such. But I just wonder if I'm saying he, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be a man, could be a woman. I wonder if they were thinking about these seasonality type things.
Yeah. I don't know.
But anyway, regardless of which relationship started first, relationship with the business, friendships, even if you have children and then you come into a marriage relationship later, again, that makes no difference. The priority is the marriage.
Right. Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add to that?
I don't think so. I think that you covered it really well.
All right. Well, very good. So, we hope that you take this information and make your marriage a priority and go build your dream business.
Side by side.